Welcome, everybody. This is our first interview that we've done in this group, and I'm really excited because it's the first of many. And Stephanie's going to come back regularly because we're always going to be getting new people in this group. Evidently, working from home is a pretty hot topic since COVID among nurse practitioners. Yeah, it's pretty appealing for a lot of people. I'd be curious to know what drew you guys to the group in the first place. I'd love to hear a little bit about what made people feel like this was something they should investigate.
Complete burnout.
Complete burnout? Oh, shoot. Yeah. Who can relate to that?
I have 25 years of experience and I don't want it to go to waste, but the clinical setting is not where I can see myself anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And I see a couple of people nodding too. So I don't think you're alone in that. And I wasn't even in the field for as long as some, and it was burnout for me too. And I think COVID has pushed some people over the edge that maybe wouldn't normally be in burnout right now. So Angela, remind me, what's your specialty?
Pulmonary critical care. So COVID.
Anyone else? What brought you here? What brought you to the group? And then what brought you to this meeting, which is probably a similar answer.
So
hopped on.
it's Pam. It's crazy how things work out. I have been in healthcare for almost 40 years. I currently do consults with the palliative care service. And unfortunately, a lot of my referrals are patients in the ICU and with COVID, but other things. And I had taken a course, a legal nurse consulting course years ago, but life didn't lead me in that direction. And I have been working with a mentor, a business mentor, and with this program that's actually a free program in my county. And then I saw your social media brought me to you. And so anyway, things are just like rolling
into place. Yeah. And can I just put a plug in there? And I'm serious about this because I have 5 mentors right now, and mentors are the bomb. Like you need to get a mentor if you're going to step out and do anything. And this is different for a lot of us because most of us are used to being an employee as a nurse. That's like your average nurse is an employee. And nurse practitioners do a lot more contracting than do RNs. But we're used to being treated like an employee. Even when we're contractors, we're treated like employees. And stepping out into a job where you really do get to control a lot more of what you're doing and how you're doing it and when you're doing it and how much you're doing it, it's really appealing, I think.
I can relate to that burnout too. A lot of my cases are very sad, very unfortunate. And it's been when the second round came around, I said to my boss, it was wonderful. My team, I have an amazing team. And I've worked for my healthcare institution for 30 years. So this is stepping out of a huge comfort zone. And so anyway, I can't see.
It sounds like emotional burnout, really, because of what you do and the emotion that goes into what you do.
Yeah, it's been overwhelming and I don't know how much more I can do.
Yeah. I'm so glad you guys are all here. This is really exciting. The first of many interviews that we'll be having in this group. I don't know who's been here since I started the group 2 months ago and who just came in more recently, but it's in motion. I'm being fluid with it. But at first I was going to offer a course of legal nurse consulting, and I didn't even have a course ready to go or anything, but I was going to offer a course. And then I made this post in there. Hey, how many of you guys would like to go out and be your own LLC, legal nurse consulting business, and subcontract to other people and do that? And how many of you guys want to just have cases handed to you? And because of the response to that, I wound up deciding that I was going to actually just provide a contracting service and I would hand cases to some of the people in the group. The fact is I can't contract everybody. And so I figured, what am I going to do with this group now? And then I realized that there already are so many people out there that teach legal nurse consulting that don't have access to this audience of nurse practitioners, which is a very burned out audience, ready to take advantage of what these people have to offer. And so Stephanie is one of them. And there's a handful of them out there. I won't say there's lots and lots, but there's a handful of legal nurse consulting instructors, mentors out there. And Stephanie is an amazing one. And she's a great program. And I'm just really excited. And I'm just gonna let her tell us a little bit about that. I've got some questions for her today. And I know I'm not even gonna cover all the questions that I have. A lot of you who work today, raise your hand or say me in the chat or something. I love it, by the way, when the chat is used during the call, by the way. So please feel free to pipe in on the chat, because I know some of you guys aren't really feeling it with the camera right now, which is totally fine. I get it. You just got home from work and got in your pajamas
Mhm.
and threw your hair in a bun, I get it. But if you want to just type into the chat, I hope that you can do that from your phone. That really helps. I've done some of these webinars before, and I tell you what, it's hard. It's not easy to do a webinar when, thank you, everybody saying me in the chat. It's
Yes.
not easy to do a
Mhm.
webinar. Sometimes you feel like you're talking to a brick wall and it's, am I talking to myself? Maybe I should crawl in my bed again. So I really appreciate when people pipe in the chat. It really just helps the speaker feel like they're appreciated. So thank you. Now I see some chat going on. Great. Cool. Okay, so Stephanie, I'm just going to kind of pick and choose some of these questions, and we will get around to the others over time because I'm going to be bringing you back on a regular basis. And the coolest thing, you guys stick around, because if Stephanie provides you with some value today and some information about what legal nurse consulting is and how you can get started, and if you feel like you got some value from today's call, is it all right with you if Stephanie shares a little bit about what she's doing so that you can consider whether she might be the person to move forward with? Is it all right if I let her share that with you guys today? Because we're going to give you some that. Thank you. Yeah, you can say in the chat. Yeah, that's fine. If you know, I appreciate that. I got a thumbs up. Yeah, because honestly, like, it's up to you guys right now. You're in this group. I can't become a legal nurse consultant for you, but what I can do is I can facilitate your transition into this new career path, or for some of you, it'll be a supplement. For some of you, it will be something that will eventually replace your current income. It just depends on your needs, right? Like, I needed to come home from work because I have a child who needs me to be home with her. And so everybody's got a different story, and it's up to you to choose how you're going to move forward. So I'm not going to be becoming a legal nurse consultant for you. You'll need to decide what path to take forward in doing that. And that's why you're here. So I'm so glad you're at the call. Stephanie has allowed us to negotiate a discount of sorts. So stick around for that. Don't leave, because she does have some really good discount offer for you for what she has to offer. And so stick around for that. I know, and I'll try not to make it a long meeting, but Stephanie, how are you
Yes.
tonight?
I'm good. I'm excited, actually. I'm really excited.
Yeah, I am too. This is really cool.
Thank you for
So,
having me.
yeah, I intentionally, when we spoke, by the way, Stephanie and I just hit it off the first time we talked. We were like soul sisters. And I was like, I don't want to ask you too much because I want to legitimately be curious when you come on my call so that I can ask you about what you're doing and everything. Some of the things I'm asking, I don't know the answers to, and I'm curious. So tell us a little bit about your story, your nursing background, and what brought you to this point.
So I started my nursing career in 2008. I went straight into critical care, burn, critical care, and trauma. That was my niche. That was my specialty. And I ended up leaving burn and trauma to move to another town to help a level 2 trauma center qualify as level 2 and open up. And after that, it was more of a focus on having a family. It was time for me to have a child. I had a baby, did some traveling, things like that. Decided I want more. I did some travel nursing. For a short period of time, had my first son, and that's when I moved into leadership because I needed something more. What I had wasn't working, and I got curious really about, how do I take back my time? How do I mom and do what I need to do to provide for my family? Legal nurse consulting was something that was marketed, and I got something in the mail and was like, this exists. This is perfect. This is everything. And the reason why it was so perfect for me was because when I was 6 months into nursing, I got deposed. I was a part of a case. There was a suit. I happened to be the nurse who was taking care of the patient the very last night. And I am the prime, you're the prime interviewee. And I'm like, oh, this is fabulous. I literally thought I was losing my job. I thought, oh my gosh, my career, I just got here and now I'm going away. So that was like a moment where people say CYA. I took that seriously after that moment when I was like, okay, this is forever changing how I nurse, not just caring for patients, but because I think I got the living bejesus scared out of me in a different way. I know so many of you probably go your entire career and you've never been involved in a lawsuit or anything like that. 6 months in, here I am. And I was like, oh, this can't be my life. So when legal nurse consulting was something that I heard of, I thought, this is perfect. This is absolutely perfect. So I decided to take a course myself. And I left that course, started my business, and took a few steps right here and there. I had my first kid, but I kept my day job and I moved up the ladder. I started going up the ladder in leadership, because then the next level, and what about directorship, and then oversight of outpatient departments. So that's where I took myself, because that's what I thought needed to be done. That was me trying to gain more flexibility. And then when I had my second son, legal nursing, I was like, I have to make this work. I'm tired of sacrificing my time, my weekends, my nights. I'm tired of having two phones. It didn't matter what role I was in. I would still give up something, maybe to get more time. I had more flexibility, but I got to have a phone on 24/7. There was always a trade-off. And when I had my second son, for me, I was like, this can't be it. And so I really turned back to my legal nursing business. My husband and I already had a few small successful businesses, and I was beating my head against the wall thinking, what am I not doing? How am I successful in those, but I'm not successful in this one? Like, what's missing? And the only thing I could think of was, it's time for me to get a mentor. I need someone else. I need someone else to lay eyes on my business because I'm not doing something. So I got my coach, my mentor. I still have her today. I have monthly meetings, bi-weekly meetings with her. I love her. She has literally rocked my world and changed my life.
Yeah.
And it was such a huge reality check when I realized I was the only thing standing in my way.
Oh yeah,
Was me.
I totally know that feeling. Yeah, that was your turning point, is getting a mentor.
Such an eye opener.
It was mine too, actually. And the ironic thing is that I was actually going in the direction of a different type of business. I was going towards coaching, but I got a coach because I knew the value of coaching. And it was while I was being coached that I saw this shift and pivot in what I needed to do with my life, and how all of my life experiences were coming together into helping people find what I found. Because it was, for me, it was just a side gig. It was like, oh yeah, while I'm building this coaching, I'm going to do these cases and gigs on the side to get some money coming in. And then I all of a sudden realized, wait a minute, there are so many people out there that would love to be able to do this thing from home, and I need to teach them. Yeah, that it was the mentor that I think was the turning point for me too.
It's the beautiful part about it is it's someone who's outside of your business. It's like, we're in the business, right? We're reading a label from the inside of a bottle, and that's difficult at times. It's hard to step outside of yourself and go, what's wrong with my business? Unless you've been shown how to do that. And my mentor was wonderful in teaching me a lot of techniques that involve self-assessment and things that I use every day. It goes far beyond my business.
What do you mean about the label outside the bottle? Can you go back to that for a second?
Reading a label from inside the bottle. It's hard to read a label from inside the bottle. I'm in my business. It's hard for me to be able to look at things, right? To completely understand from a 30,000 foot view what's going on.
Not seeing the forest for the trees.
Yes, it's the exact same concept. Yes. And so this is what it makes me think of. This is what I love comparing it to. You guys have all been at the bedside and you're dumbfounded. You're beating your head against the wall, trying to save a patient. You can't fix them. What is wrong? What am I missing? And then one of your nurse buddies walks by and says, hey, have you tried A, B, and C? And you're like, really? Did you just figure all that out in 5 seconds? And I've been in this room all night, all day, trying to help this patient. And you just come along and it's the different perspective. It's a shift. And the beauty in that is you have someone who can also see you and hear you and teach you and show you how many times you have those fears and those doubts. And she held me accountable to a lot of things. And that is when I really realized I was the only thing stopping me and my limiting beliefs. And once I identified those, game on. My business literally fourfolded during the pandemic. My business was insane. And see, so I was a little bit opposite of you. I wanted my business to grow, I wanted to thrive in my business, which it is. And that's when nurses were coming to me saying, how are you doing this? I need this too. We're in the middle of a pandemic. People are losing their jobs. And all I could think was, this is to be my mission now. I need to help other nurses. I need to help others. They need to see what I see. This market is so untapped. There's so much potential there. Well, I was like, I have to share this.
Like, I think I read there were 85,000 cases a year, but think about that. That's just medical malpractice. That's what I'm going to be focusing in, but it's not even talking about personal injury, workman's comp, you name it. What other things are there that you do?
So there's toxic tort cases, you can do criminal and forensics, the medical malpractice, personal injury. You can work with insurance companies. So being on the plaintiff and defense side, there's lots of opportunities. You can work with government agencies and even beyond. Think of every specialty there is in healthcare, it's in legal nursing and then some. Prime example, I have a legal nurse who is a friend of mine and she works for an elevator manufacturing company. She's a legal nurse on their team. She works because you can imagine with elevator manufacturing and lawsuits that come out of it. So think about devices, anything that moves, automobiles, like there's so much need beyond what we even see in healthcare. And that's what she does full time, because at first I was like, that doesn't make sense. People get injured in the elevator. And I was like, oh, so true. People get injured on site.
Like a lot of us have been walking around with blinders on. Because, and you know what, I think it's worse with NPs, okay? Because I think, this is a theory of mine, that as NPs, we go back to school, we get our MSN, and then we're working as an NP, and we look around at our life and we go, is this it? Like, I guess this is it. I'm at the pinnacle of my career. This is as high as it goes. So we just take it and we just go, shoot, I guess this is it. This is as high as I go.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why there's such a hunger in nurse practitioners to do this when they first get wind of it. And actually, a lot of people in my group will say to me things like, I've been thinking about legal nurse consulting for a while.
Mhm.
And so and I don't know if that's just how people are being guided here or what, but so many people have said that to me. A lot of people, if you already had looked into it before you got into this group, I'm curious to know how many people had already at least heard of it versus how many people it was like when you came across my post or my comment, that sounds interesting. What's that? And just tell me, was it new? Just type new if it was new to you, or say you've been thinking about it, something. I'm just curious. But yeah, I feel like a lot of us that just walk around with blinders on, we don't know that there's other options because we don't look around the way RNs do, like you did. And you're like, there's gotta be something more. I gotta do something.
I think that just because this is how the traditional medical world is set up, and that's part of the advancement is now I'm a nurse practitioner, here I am, and this is what I get. Not realizing you have such an opportunity to pivot and pivot in a manner that doesn't actually hinder anything that you've learned. I have nurses in my program who are nurse practitioners. I have CRNAs in my program. The beauty of legal nurse, positioning yourself in your power of everything you already know, like your expertise shines in legal nurse consulting, and people will pay you for it, because you have to think you're roaming around a world now where all they know is law. And to say something like hypokalemia, they're going to look at you and go, huh? Just to use what we feel are basic medical terms.
We're so used to it.
Where we are, it's second nature to us. It's not to them. I've heard people say, we can look that up. That's great. You can. How long is it going to take you to look all that up?
Yeah.
And here's the difference. Here's the difference in what you offer. As specifically to nurse practitioners, you have the beautiful ability to walk a line. You are not just a nurse and a nurse with experience. You're also a practitioner. You're like in a provider role. So the amount of value that you can offer from a consulting perspective, like I can't step into a provider role. I can't look at a chart from a provider perspective. You can. And there's so much value in that. All these private practices now, everyone's going out on their own, nursing homes, assisted livings, like they would love. I had so many of my clients are like, I will tell them, here's a nurse practitioner. She's an expert witness. And they'll say, why don't I have a doctor? You don't need a doctor. The nurse practitioner is going to give more value than the doctor will.
Yeah. And she knows the standard of care, and she knows differential diagnosis, prescribing. Yeah.
So it's like the best of both worlds, right? Yeah. Pulled together. And that's what I love about nurse practitioners coming into this, because you have such a variety. You have so many, I say power because that's what I mean. You have so much power in your expertise because you can stand in both roles.
Yeah.
And you can still give the advice that a nurse can give, but you can do it from a provider perspective, which is more valuable. It is a different level of expertise because of your, experience and your training, but it's not as pricey as some of these surgeons walking around for $1,200 an hour.
Yeah.
And again, PAs and doctors, we all know this, are trained very differently than nurses and nurse practitioners. So like the law, medicine and law go so well together when you bring nurses into it, because here's another example. Everyone knows what textbook nursing looks like because anyone can go look up a textbook, buy a textbook now. However, we all know that's not really how it goes down. And so just because it's supposed to go like the textbook doesn't mean that's actually how it is going. Reality is something that the attorneys can't see. This is where we get to provide so much value to say, actually, inside the hospital, A, B, and C are supposed to happen, and they have policies for this, and EMR documentation and regulations says we have to do this, and with Joint Commission regulations and CMS guidelines, we also have to do this. Like, doctors don't know that stuff.
Yeah. Lawyers don't either, and they don't have a clue. If a doctor doesn't have a clue, a lawyer certainly doesn't.
Mm-mm.
How many times have you handed a chart to a doctor and he goes, why did you just hand this to me? Open it to where's the progress notes?
I know. Find the progress note. I love giving people this reference because some people are like, well, how do I know I have enough experience? It's just a self-confidence thing. But here's how I look at it. Here's what we forget. In traditional medicine, there is always a cap. There's always a ceiling for us because somebody else has to sign an order. Someone else has to give us permission. Someone else has to say, yes, you get to clock out. Even as a nurse practitioner, sometimes someone else has to be a collaborator, depending on which state you're in. It's like we never have the freedom to actually fully embody our power, but you do. Because here's the difference. How many times have you picked up the phone and called a doctor or written orders? All you're waiting on is a doctor's signature. You're the one who put it all together. You're the one who did the diagnoses. You wrote the progress note. You did the intake as a nurse practitioner. What happens when you are in the hospital? I know at least nurse practitioners that I've worked with, they're just, a doctor comes by and cosigns. And I'm certain they don't read through the chart like the nurse practitioner does, who comes up not only with the treatment plan, the diagnoses, but the care plan. And there is a huge difference when you can realize that you already do that stuff. You're just told by a system that you don't get to do it alone. In the world of legal nursing, you can. That is your power for nurse practitioners.
I just want to note some of these comments that are coming in because we have a lot of comments coming in. So I'm just going to come here because earlier I was asking how many people had already started thinking about legal nurse consulting. And yeah, there was a lot of people that said, yeah, I've thought about it many different times. Teresa says, but the lack of mentorship scares me. But there are mentors out there. It's just, you have to know where to find them. And you're in the perfect place because this is exactly what this group is designed to do, is to provide you with this buffet of mentorship. Everybody's program is a little bit different angle of the same thing. And you have to choose, what is stopping me? Is my lack of knowledge stopping me? Great, go find a program that is based solely around the how-to. If you have plenty of confidence, but you don't have the nuts and bolts, then go find a program that teaches you the nuts and bolts. If you believe that you have a good, easy learning curve, but you are a little bit not confident about sales, or you're not confident in general about your, whatever it is, then yeah, I think mentorship is where it has to start. And a lot of us are lacking confidence. We're in a safe space right here, but please don't tell me I'm the only one here that like legitimately struggled with imposter syndrome for decades.
We all do.
Decades.
Here, let me tell you, this is exactly what I have to say to that. If you don't have imposter syndrome, you are the imposter. That's exactly how it works. If you are not suffering in a world that we live in, if imposter syndrome is not something that happens to you every time you level up, you are the imposter. That is natural.
That's a writer downer for me. Yeah. So
it really
is a big barrier. And you know what the cure for imposter syndrome is? The coach that shows you that mirror. And that, honestly, I'm not kidding. I never thought I would be free of imposter syndrome. I thought that I was going to just have to suppress it my entire life and just keep it under wraps. But you know what? There's something that has shifted in me this year. I legitimately don't feel like that's there anymore. Yes, I know there are things that I don't know, but I know that I stand in my little space of expertise, what that is for me. And for me, it's not a clinical space of expertise, and I'm okay with that. For me, it's in, the entrepreneurship and in the spreadsheet genius and ever so I like have this space, and that's my genius zone. So that's, if you're a specialist, you have a genius zone, and you don't have to have everybody else's genius zone. It's okay. So
that's why we network.
Yes,
that's why we network and contract with each other.
That's another beautiful thing about the group that we're in, because we're going to have this community of nurse practitioners that are all doing legal nurse consulting, that we can pick each other's brains and we can share cases and subcontract cases and things like that. So I want to read some more of these comments though. Kimberly says, I've been interested for a long time in this. I have a close coworker that does it and sparked the interest. Yeah. So I've heard that too, that people hear about it, someone else is doing it. Crystal, she wanted to go to law school. That's how I found her. Is I think she said something in a group or something like, I want to go back to, maybe I'll just go to law school. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
No, there's a beautiful in between. There's such a beautiful in between that will not cost you an arm and a leg either. Like
right. Or 5 years of your life. I've considered it for a while, but I'm just unsure if it would work out here in the super rural area that I live. The good thing is that you don't have to do it locally.
There it is. Not anymore. Let me tell you what I did. I have one attorney client in my state. I live in Florida. All of my other clients are in other states. Everything can be done electronically.
So in the age of COVID, I think that like even the attorneys that were like slacking on the digital thing are finally now catching up. But yeah, that's not a barrier anymore. So that's awesome. I've been aware for a long time, just now giving strong consideration because Angela, Pam says it was introduced to it years ago. And as she said, she didn't follow that path at that time. And so many people just take courses and they never get that first case. Why do you think that is, Stephanie?
So this is what I like to compare it to, because look, I am a student of this myself. I went off and took a course because I thought that was the right thing to do. And I went and got a certification because I thought I needed one. Let me debunk some myths for you. You don't need a certification. When you became a nurse, you don't. So this is a selling tactic, right? Some people are like, I got a certificate. I'm like, in what? When you become a nurse practitioner, you have clinicals, you have practicum, you go practice things alongside someone else who's your preceptor or your mentor or your coach. We've never stepped into nursing or nurse practicing without having someone there to support us.
Right.
So for me, when the light bulb went off, I was like, oh, duh, Stephanie, why on earth would you think that you could go do it alone? To have someone there to support you who's already done it. Like, we don't have to reinvent the wheel here. It's been done. And that's what I love about my ability to share with others. Is I'm like, that's what I want people to have. I'm like, I need you to have what I have, because I love the flexibility and the freedom that I have and everything that I've created for my family. And I want others to have that too. And that's the beauty in having a mentor, is having someone who's done it, have that support system, that person to lean on, that accountability partner, the person who can look at your business from a 30,000 foot view, who can really look at you. My coach, sometimes, Stephanie, you're doing it again. I'm like, oh, I'm doing what? You do this all the time. You second guess yourself when you're about to level up. And I'm just like, ugh. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to meditate. Yeah, I'm going. I said, I'm going to go. And I have things that I do that help me work through this stuff. And this is not something that you check a box and it goes away. When you become a business owner, it's a different world.
Yeah.
But that's okay, because there's a really easy way to marry those. There's a technique you can use to marry those. We as nurses are far more business minded than we like to think. Truly we are. Because if anyone's ever been a charge nurse or a practitioner, you technically run things all the time. It's just shifting your mindset to see, how can what I've done in my realm of nursing relate to business? Like, what skills do I have here that can transition over? And that, like, having someone who can help you realize that, that's what my coach did for me. And I thought I was doing things in leadership and using techniques in hundreds of nurses and making astronomical teams who would break records, help achieve awards hospitals had never achieved before, to have no infections, core measures, scores through the roof, leapfrogs, things like that. I was like, why? How can I do that? But I can't run my own business. This makes no sense. She helped me realize all the assets that I had in my other role. And it was just having someone who could say, you can do that in your own business. Why not try XYZ? And I was like, oh, I've never thought of that, because it just didn't have someone who could see it from outside.
Now, remind me, did you have two coaches? You did legal nurse consulting as a course, but then you had a coach, and she's not a legal nurse consultant even.
Not anything to do with medicine.
You're here, you're an RN, you're here in front of a group of NPs. Tell us how and why that makes sense. How does she help you when she's not even in?
So like I said, a lot of what's the hardest part. So number one, the most intimidating factor is the business side, when really that's the tactical things that are easier to learn. The person in the business, that's the hard part. That's the thing we forget about. We forget about us. We forget we are our business. And so she doesn't necessarily need to coach me on business, because I have two other businesses my husband and I run that are very successful. We have 7 streams of income, like outside of my legal nursing business. We are successful entrepreneurs, but why the hell didn't it work here? Yeah. It was me. I was like, something's not right with me. What is wrong? Why can't I do this? And it was just blocks. It was limiting beliefs. I had mental blocks. I had to dig up some nasty emotions and look some gremlins in the face, because we all encounter stuff at the bedside that we just shove down deeper because we don't want to deal with, or we're told to suck it up and go on to the next patient, that kind of thing. Like, that stuff's kind of ingrained in us. So I had to peel back the layers of the onion. And she didn't need to be in healthcare to see my limiting beliefs. She didn't need to be in healthcare to realize where I was struggling. She didn't need to be certified as a coach or even be a nurse to be able to look at me and go, this is actually what your limiting belief is. Like, this is what you keep saying. Let me help you pattern yourself. The benefit to having someone who has been where you are, who has a similar profession, is that you're much more relatable.
Sure.
As nurses and nurse practitioners, like, we work side by side, hand in hand all the time.
It'd be really nice if I could say to my coach, who's not a legal nurse consultant, like today I was on a hot seat for like 5 minutes with him, and I only had 5 minutes, 10 minutes on the hot seat, because he's like a really high level coach, and he's 50,000 a year or something crazy like that to get one-on-one coaching with him. And I don't even have one-on-one. And it's an investment. It is. Coaching is an investment, and you get what you pay for, really. But I got on this hot seat with him, and he doesn't know anything about legal nurse consulting. And I had to give him like a really fast rundown of what I'm doing and catch him up to
Mhm.
speed and everything. And it would be so much better. I could get so much more value from the coach, especially in that group setting, if that coach already was like right with me when it comes to exactly what I'm doing, the type of business I'm doing, because my coach is a general business coach.
Right.
So anytime you're an entrepreneur, you're gonna need a mentor, period.
Any successful entrepreneur has a mentor. Anyone who says I did this by myself is a liar. They always had someone they
might as
looked
well
to.
be someone who has done a similar kind of business. So they're right
Yes.
there with you. You pay them, you get so much time with them. I was gonna say, you don't actually pay coaches by the hour per se, but with the package comes a certain amount of time. And so when you're gonna spend that time with them, you might as well be spending that time focusing on, not on the, let me explain to you what my business is and what.
So that's one of the,
point.
and that's one of the beauties. Like when I created my program, mine was basically created because other nurses were coming to me. And all I could think was, okay, I'm stepping in, I'm meeting you where you are. However, there's a process to this. And I was like, I have to have this mapped out. Like I went through a process and it worked so well. It's replicable. We can redo this. That's where the mentorship was born. That's where the course came into play. And then of course, having me as a mentor to say, I did this. Now go replicate it. Because if you follow the process, trust the process, I've already done it. I have a multi-six-figure business that I barely spend time in. It's like on automate right now.
Wow.
And that's the beauty of it, is I just get to go, here's what I did, do this. But the other beauty about it is it's personalized, right? To have someone who can help you fine tune your business for you, to help position you where you shine the most. Because it's also about positioning yourself with marketing. Marketing is very intimidating, but it's actually very easy. I have a friend, Doug, who explained it to me, and it's ridiculous how easy it is for me to understand it now.
And I attended a class you gave on that, on marketing.
Mhm.
So you have
key-
strategies and things to share.
Yes. And so that's a lot of what we do is we implement strategies. I'm big on processes and strategies. I'm big on statistics. Like business is not a mystery. You trend what you do, you look at your outcomes. What are you going to generate? We look at how many leads, what's our conversion rate, right? How many times do we have to get in front of someone? There's so many intricacies in it. Once you find alignment, these attorneys fall out of the sky. It's really all about alignment. And so many people think some of that is like weird and woo-woo, the alignment, the vibration, the energy. I'm going to tell y'all, I used to think the same thing when I was all science. I'm like, what are you talking about? Vibration. That sounds all. And then I was like, that sounds like hypnotherapy.
It works.
And then, yeah. And now I do hypnotherapy too. But it works, man. It's so ridiculous how when you are aligned with what your mission is and what you love, when you have found peace with where you are, not where you're trying to go, but right where you are, the universe, God and the universe give you amplitudes of opportunity. And when I say attorneys fall out of the sky, like it legitimately feels like that for some of the students in my program. They're like, where did this guy come from? And they're like, I guess he found me. Oh my God, he's sending me a case and he lives in Hawaii. And I was like, how wonderful is that? Where are you? She's in Texas and she's an attorney in Hawaii. He's going to send her a case. He found her on LinkedIn. So this is what I talk about when we talk about positioning you and finding alignment, but then also making sure that we can follow those trends. Again, business is not a mystery. You can predict how much money you're going to make if you execute in the same patterns that have worked. We do that stuff. I also teach people how to go deep with their clients. It's very different. People come in and think, I don't want to be a marketer. And I'm like, I don't market. Like attorneys come to me. I don't market anymore at all. Like my network builds on its own and I don't market because there's so many word of mouth. And that's something I teach everyone else to do too. There is a technique behind that where there's a process that we teach about going deep with our clients and how to do our follow-ups to where you get reoccurring cases from the same attorneys.
Strategies. Sounds like.
Yes. And so a lot of these nurses will get 2, 3, and 4 attorneys and they're making $200K off of 4 attorneys.
So what I'm hearing is you not only have got it down in the woo-woo side, which is super important, as you and I both know. That's what's missing in some of these certifications. There's none of that. It just skips right over it and just ignores the fact that everybody in the program has crippling imposter syndrome. You got to get through that. And then, but you do that, but then you also, because sometimes people are too woo-woo and they totally ignore the strategies and they totally ignore the nuts and bolts. First of all, like, what the heck is legal nurse consulting? Like, how do you do it? What are you doing?
Right.
Exactly. But you teach all of that, like actual the nuts and bolts too, like what, like
Yes.
templates and stuff like that, because some people are just like, just give me
Yes.
a template and I will follow.
I do. I literally give you my templates. You can download them and edit out the word Florida and make sure your state statutes are in there, like not samples, but truly editable templates. If I have it, I give it to you. I share my strategies. We have a tool that we use to position people for marketing. It's extremely effective. And like I said, it works on pretty much, it doesn't matter, CRNA, nurse practitioner, nurse, and just different techniques and how we position you in your CV. So yes, it's not just focusing on you. That's where we start, because you are the soul of your business. You're the foundation. And so everything layers on it like a cake from there, right? First, we got to focus on ourselves. Because if you don't focus on you, you'll just have to come back to it. And we still do sometimes, but then we start to build into our marketing, and then we actually learn about legal nursing. There's a lot of like report writing, practice reports, chronologies, right? You get 2 case avatars, and my reports analyst and I will review your documents and send them back to you until they're absolutely perfect. And we get to say, here, now you have a sample case.
Nice.
Like you get to generate your
that's work product for you. You can show it to attorneys and say,
exactly.
this is how my product will look for you and how it's useful to you. I love that.
Yes.
Well, I just would love for you to just give a really quick recap of what it is that you offer and what is different about your program from things that are out there. And then tell us a little bit about how to get started with you if you wanted to do that. And then the promo code for these.
Yes. So I tell everyone to look at it like this. If you want information, go buy a course, because you're going to get information, right? If you want transformation, you need a mentor, because you have to become a nurse practitioner, right? You don't just read a textbook, take a test, and boom, there you are. It takes practice. It takes implementation. If you want transformation, get a mentor. If you want to fast track your success, go find someone who's already done it and someone who is still actively doing it, because 10 years ago is so not the same as now, guys. It's not even close. So the course that I offer is called Beyond the Basics, and it's coupled with a mastery program. So it's a legal nurse consulting course that you come in. Like I said, we touch point on you. We get rid of those limiting beliefs. We focus and we redefine who you are in your legal nursing realm. And then we do the marketing. We also do all the tactical stuff in the business. We do reports, we do templates. We talk about subcontracting. We go through litigation, right? I teach you about the litigation process and the terminology. All that stuff is in there too. We go through every single facet of a contract and when you negotiate and when you don't. We talk about ideal clients. We talk about how do you go deep with your clients and how do you cater to them. So it's a lot of information packed in 12 weeks. That's Beyond the Basics.
Is that on your own time, or do you have to come in live to classes? And is it in a group? Like, tell us really quickly about some of those aspects.
So the course content's all pre-recorded and it unlocks 1 week at a time, so you don't get overwhelmed. And so you progress through that as you should in the order that it's released. We have weekly group coaching calls. They're 2 hours. And then I also have my proprietary portal where you can send information back unlimited. It's real time. We have other support coaches that are all nurses. My whole team is a team of nurses. So if you think someone's not going to understand you, you'll find them in my group, because everybody knows something about someone else and we've probably all been through something similar. So reports analysts, right, to help you with those reports, but the back and forth feedback, there's homework, because to build a business, you have to actually execute. And so you're going to execute from the moment I send you your welcome email. It's, hey, here you go. Here's your first assignment. Because I want you doing things and moving. I want you taking imperfect action. That's the entire point of executing a business, is to get on your toes and actually start doing. Because you can sit around and think about it all you want, but if you actually want a business, you have to do things. We execute from day one, right? We walk you through everything. And let's be honest, guys, you're not going to build a 6-figure business in 9 and 12 weeks. Do you have the information there? Yes. So Mastery is the extension of that, which is the 1-year support program, which is unlimited support, continued group coaching calls. You get lifetime access to our VIP Facebook group, lifetime access to your content. We have a mindset coach. So when you start off, you get one-on-ones with our mindset coach at 2 weeks and then 6 to 8 weeks. It doesn't really matter what realm of nursing you've been in. Someone inside my group has probably been there and experienced it. And that's the beauty of it. You also get access to the network and the VIP group. It's lifetime access. They subcontract to each other. They help each other, give each other business tips. So you don't just gain a mentor, right? You gain a network of support and other nurses. That's your second network. Yes.
Initially though, your network is really important because yours has a lot more working LNCs in it. Our network is not as strong in that area because we literally just started this group and virtually everybody is just interested. And so
Mhm.
until we all, some of us, and you guys are the fast action takers because you're here tonight and this is the first call. And that says something about you guys, and they'll come eventually because that's why they're there in the group. If they come to this group and then they never come to a call, that's their own fault. This is the value right here, and you're here tonight. And then eventually we'll get more experience among us and our group, and then you'll have two networks to go to.
And you can grow from there actually, because you have a nation at your fingertips. There's lots of other networks you have access to. So resources, that's another thing we provide. Beyond the Basics is not the 9 to 12-week program. However, at the adamant request of all of my students who are all in my 1-year mastery support program, it's 1 year. So it includes Beyond the Basics, except for a year. Now you get unlimited support through the portal. You get group coaching calls. And in mastery is where you are now beyond building the foundation of your business. Now we're going to amplify and elevate, right? I'm going to teach you about automation. I'm going to dig into specific case types like falls and forensics and COVID.
Oh, cool. Automation. What are you automating?
Yes. Automated. We onboard, like onboarding automation. There's lots of things that you spend time called non-billables that we can put on automate.
Onboarding
and I teach you
attorneys and cases.
Mhm.
Oh, sweet.
Yep. And managing subcontractors. Like when you start managing subcontractors, it's like you feel like you're brokering things.
Wow.
So
Now you're talking like big business, honey.
You're in the midst of that. So to be in a program where when you get to that level, you can have someone who's, yes, now this is time for you to level up. Do not send that case away. And that's something else we offer too. All my subcontracting contracts and resources all come with mastery as well.
So that's the next level. That's cool.
So mastery is where everyone tends to go to, just because it's a relief to know I have someone for a year of support. So it's not just 12 weeks where I'm like, oh, I got to get all this done in 12 weeks. So that's why mastery grew. Every single person in my program gets mastery, every single person, because I think they see the value in, you really want to get to 6 figures. Here's how you can do it. To be able to say, I can have an income projection into well into the 6 figures with the investment that you start with. Startup companies are 50K easy. And so to think that put that money into a mentor is how I think, because that's how I still do it. I put money into coaching myself and a mentor because that's what drives my business.
Tax deductible, by the way.
Oh yes, actually it is. It totally is. Especially when it builds your business. It's under legal and professional services, says my CPA.
Yeah.
So consult your CPA. I can't give,
Right.
accounting advice. However, I'm just telling you.
Thank you so much. You're just a wealth of information and knowledge.
Oh,
And I'm really
thank you.
excited for people in this group to learn from you, because I know that you, like you said, you're not only talking the talk, you're walking the walk too. You're still doing your legal nurse consulting,
Mhm.
even though you also now
Mhm.
mentor, but you still have this functioning business of legal nurse consulting. And that's just really admirable, I think, because a lot of times, sometimes people have just moved just to teaching and have fallen
Right.
away from keeping abreast of things when it comes to legal nurse consulting. And so
Mhm.
that's cool.
We just released another marketing template because I was like, hey guys, do this because this is going to work.
It's what's working for you. So you're actually giving real-time updates
Yes.
on what's working in your business, and
Yes.
you immediately give it to your
Mhm.
students. That's awesome.
Yeah, we stepped outside of just online marketing and incorporated other tactics that are working for me. So we moved beyond just the online sector and other things that you can implement and be a part of that will grow your network automatically. Those things, as I do them, we talk about them on group coaching calls, and we talk about all the little stuff that goes behind business, like billing and automation and all the boring
Well,
stuff too.
your success is your students' success when it comes to your teaching business.
I actually love that more.
If you can get people to be success stories,
Mm.
that's success for you. So you're invested in not just making a sale, but actually making, a transformation.
And that's the reason why I don't just let anyone buy into my program. You have to actually get on a clarity call, because it's really important for me to know that I can help you. I'm not going to take your money if I don't think I can help you. It doesn't do anything for either of us. Just creates a lot of frustration and debt, right?
Because I'm going to have, by the way, you guys, I'm going to have a sheet in the back of our group where I'm collecting sort of some basic common questions that people might ask about these different programs. And one of them would be like, well, what's it cost? With Stephanie, she's not just going to tell you what it costs, because she doesn't even know that you're a good candidate. Like, you got to talk to her. And I like that about you, that you're selective about who you work with, because it's not just about making a sale, it's about making a new person. And so you have to be teachable and ready.
Yes, that was what I was going to say. You have to be in the right place, because just because you can give 10 hours a week doesn't mean you're going to. And if you're not willing to receive, to be open to constructive criticism, for someone else to elevate you and come in and say, hey, what about XYZ? Or open to even exploring who you are in a different manner, you're not ready. All I'm going to do is we're just going to keep you and we're just going to run into a brick wall. And so it's important to have that relationship, to have that conversation beforehand. Number one, we got to get along, right? We got to like each other. And because otherwise, like, have a mentor that you don't actually jive with. What is that? And number two, I want to know I can help you. So I ask really deep questions, and some people, sometimes they get offended and then they're not ready. And it's not meant to be offensive in any sort of way. It's just, I need to know where you are because I need to meet you where you are. That's the biggest part of it.
Yeah, I want to make sure, does anyone have a question for Stephanie before we wrap it up for tonight? And now is the time. Today is the time. Really, it's time to take action. That's why you got into this group, because you need to do something. If this sounds like something that you want to learn more about, now is the time to ask the questions that you have, and we'll go from there. So does anyone have any questions for Stephanie tonight? Thank you, by the way. The big takeaway here is get a mentor, whether it's Stephanie or someone else. That's the big takeaway.
I think so. It's huge. You need to invest in yourself. Investing in a mentor is actually an investment in you. And that's where the lump of your investment
Right.
to be. You are your business. I want to mention, because you and I had talked earlier about what's the benefit of them. I'm willing to offer 15 to 20% off, depending on which program I feel is a fit for you, of the overall price for you guys coming in. So I have a special code for you. Yes. I don't necessarily want you to book your clarity call. If you're like ready to jump 2 feet in, you're like, this is it, I'm doing this. I want you to go through her clarity call link. It's actually for me. But I want you to do that. Make sure you also have access to share that discount code. I want to be able to track you guys back so that I do know that you qualify for that discount. I don't offer this to everyone ever, really. But because you guys, she told me she has a group.
I had so many people that were ready to jump,
that were ready to go. I want to help. I want to help. So I think this is big. I'm 15 to 20%. It's a lot of money. It's a huge percentage off of.
So much.
Oh, of course. Yes, of course. And this is really part of my mission, is I just want others to be able to have what I have, to be able to work from home whenever I want. And my son, who has doctor's appointments, I get to schedule around that. If I want to take a 4-hour, I took a nap yesterday because my son's not sleeping at night. And I was like cutting my schedule, taking a 2-hour nap. Like, I get the flexibility to do that, to rearrange my day, to get up in the middle of the night if I actually want to work, which I don't. Sometimes people do when you got a deadline or something, but that flexibility, it's invaluable when it's all yours. And I think that's why that's part of elevating your business. And that's something I teach too, is I don't teach people just to have their own, but here's the beauty also in having a mentor, someone who can actually, and here's one more thing I have to say about mentors, guys. I have seen a lot of the programs out there. Just make sure your mentor is actually going to give you the attention that you need, because to be in a group is fine. I do group coaching, but we also have one-on-ones, and you need someone who's going to hot seat you, who's going to actually peg you or be able to give you that real-time feedback like we do through the portal, as much as you need to cater your business to you, to your specialty, to what's going on in your world. Number one. Number two, to understand how quickly you can grow and elevate your business just based on the spare time that you have, based on your progress, based on your limitations. Yes, I want people to dream big because I dream big, but we also have to be real here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you work 50 hours a week, you're not going to be able to put 30 hours into your business. Let's be realistic. So from the beginning, let's talk about that.
Just to be clear, are you talking about one-on-one with one of your coaches that you have? Like you
yes,
get a one-on-one
myself or them.
So what I'm hearing is you got the LNC thing down,
Yes.
You got the mentorship thing down, and you got the business consultant the business consultant thing down, where you can help someone approach their business. So that's awesome. I could seriously talk to you all night long. Really, this has been so fun. And I'm looking forward to getting to know you even better and having you come back to our group. Thank you guys all. If anybody has a question for Stephanie, we can stick around for maybe another 3 or 4 more minutes.
Amanda had asked a question. I don't personally know any LNCs. Is it mostly, what's a typical day look like? Reading through patient charts, cases, writing reports. So all the above. You can spend 5 days analyzing a chart, right? If you have 20,000 pages. 2,000 pages. It depends. There are days before I sub that I would sit down and I would just be reviewing a case. Or if I'm working with deposition, like prepping deposition material, then it's a lot of reanalyzing and then sculpting reports or reviewing an affidavit or reviewing someone else's testimony, other providers or MD's testimonies.
I love reading depositions because I feel like I'm watching a movie, like in that scene where they're being questioned in the courtroom, and I'm like in there because I don't know, when you get in, it's like you're watching it happen because it's the back and forth, and this then the lawyer says this,
Yes.
and you can hear it in your head, and you're going, nuh-uh.
You're like, that's not true. And then you like flag it, that because every one of us does that. Like you get super judgmental, which is the point, right? Is your opinion is what they're paying you for. So do you actually go to court when you can? Amanda, that's called testifying. So you can be a testifying expert. It does pay a lot more. There are pros and cons to all of it. I teach consulting. I teach behind the scenes. I do not testify. So if you're interested in testifying, go with Lisa. I know people. She probably knows
We
people.
will have resources coming in if people want to learn how to expert witness, and that is supplemental. So you can do Stephanie's stuff, and then you can also learn how to be an expert witness, because that does actually pay really quite well.
It's harder to build your reputation in that realm specifically, but it does actually pay more, right? It's double, sometimes more than that, depending on the amount of time that they want you to commit to. But I do include in my program how to work and how to locate them, because that's part of the business. Is if I need someone who's an expert, I'm going to flag them and send them to the attorney. It's to help network for them. You can offer your attorney clients your resources, which makes you valuable as well, because now they have access to your value in your network.
Right.
Hint, selling feature.
Yes. Yeah, that's cool.
I don't know, expert witness would be the best for me. And a lot of people don't necessarily like that. Being interrogated is intimidating. Dude, I like peed myself when I was interrogated. I'm just saying. That was a lot of years ago, but I still think I would probably.
You wouldn't choose to go into that if you'd had that experience and impressed upon you. Thanks, Amanda, for the question in the chat box. I don't see any more that we had missed. But yeah, Stephanie, thank you so much for coming in, and we will be seeing you again very soon. You guys, you have a fantastic night, and one way or the other, like just take a next step. If that means researching, if that means scheduling a call with Stephanie, if you're ready to do that, then do something in that direction, and have a wonderful night. And we'll talk to you all next time. It'll probably be about every 4 weeks, but we're gonna have different guests in here. So thanks for being the first guinea pig.
Thank you.
Stephanie, have a good night, everybody.
Thank
We'll talk to
you.
next time. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.